Okay, so hello guys. Hello once again. So today we're going to learn about how we're going to create our own custom component in React Native. So a component it is basically just a function that returns a UI, okay? And then we're also going to learn about props, which is in a feature in React Native in TypeScript that we could use to pass a data safely into our component. So these two are what we're going to learn today. Okay, so let's open our Visual Studio Code, and then okay. So now we're going to create a folder to hold our components. So in our counter app, I'll just create a new components folder. And inside the components, we're going to create a counter display.tsx. So it's just going to be a simple component. Now what it's going to do is we're going to replace this with a one component that contains this two. So the counter, this is the label, and then the count, which is the value. Okay, so we're going to replace this with our custom component, the counter display. So we're gonna create a simple counter display here to display the two text here. So it's going to be replacing that. Okay, so in our counter display, let's generate a code. So rnfs. Okay, so that's a simple one. So notice that our function's name is counter display, and then the name of the file is, of course, counter display. And then by convention, it's really useful to make sure that the name of your function begins with the capital letter. Okay, okay, that's it. Let's just save that. So okay, so our counter display is going to need two data. Okay, it's going to need two data, namely the label, okay, the counter or the title, and then the value, which is the count variable. So we're going to pass these two into our component so that our component can display that to sa in our display. Okay, let's do it. We got our display. We're going to pass data here in our parameter. So our function is gonna take two things. But before that, we need to pass it safely. That's why we have a thing called props. Okay, so this props is gonna determine or gonna specify what data type we're expecting for our counter display. So to do that, we can just write type and then props equals, and it's basically the same as we're writing JSON components or JSON objects. Okay, so type props, and then so we're going to be needing the label, and then it is a data type of string, and then a value, which is a data type of number. So this label is just the label. Okay, this counter is the label, and then the value is the count itself, the count variable. And then we're just gonna put this props here. So let's create a props object and colon, and then the props. So it's like we're inheriting, or we are going to be taking the props in our props type. Okay, now all we need to do is just to display. We're just going to be displaying the props. Okay, counter display. Okay, just put curly brace here to display a variable. Same with the other one. It's going to be props dot label, and then here is props dot value. There we go. Now all we need to do is just to delete this thing. Okay, but before that, we're going to be taking the styles for these two. Oh, the corresponding styles. We're just going to be taking it title, and then this big. Let's take it off. here, and we're going to transfer this into our component. And we're also going to be deleting this because we're not going to be needing this anymore. As you can see, we're going to have a blank area. Okay, let's use those styles here. Inside this create, let's just paste it, and then we're going to be using those styles for our text. So style equals styles dot title, and then here is going to be styles dot big. Okay, simple. And then of course, let's not forget about our view. We need to have some sort of style for our view as well. So let's just make it simple. Let's create a simple box. All uh, all it does is just going to align contents, align items to the center, then a margin bottom, maybe 18. And we're going to apply it here for our view box. There we go. Now we have this custom component now. All we need to do is call it in our index and display it here. Okay, so first we need to import it. So let's import a counter. Okay, as you can see, it's already been seen by our project file. So counter display, okay, and it did the import for us, so that's really convenient. Counter display. Okay, so let me explain this for a little bit. Because we have this export function, I mean, because this function is preceding this export word, it's going to be seen by all the files in under our counter app project. So yeah, and then as well as if we're using the navigator or export router, it's also going to be included in the tree, in the navigation tree. Okay, so we're going to be exploring that in the future events, future future expansion. Yeah. Okay, so now we have the counter display imported. We're going to use it as a component. So counter display, then it's going to be needing the label. So this label is expecting a string, so of course we're gonna give it a string as well. Let's just name it counter. And then our value, it's expecting a number. So it's going to be count. This is a number, so you can see this is a number, and this is what we need to do to display it. Let's just close this one, save it, and there we go. So as you can see, we now have this component inside our counter app. Just a very simple one. Now the advantage of creating your own custom components is that you can actually reuse it everywhere in your app. For example, you can reuse it here, or maybe you can duplicate it. So you can see there's a lot of it now. And that, there you go. So it's really convenient that you could be able to know how to write components. Okay, so that's it for custom components. So hopefully you learned a little bit, or hopefully you did learn how to create your own or your own component. So if you're wondering how I was able to generate that instant boilerplate, and that's because I have this extension installed right here. I think it is the C sharp extensions. I think this is the C sharp extensions. Okay, this ES7 plus React. So this gives me that code snippet that I can just use. So you can install this to help you out as well. So it really smoothens your developing experience. Oh, so that's it. Thank you so much for listening, and we're going to be learning next the um, async and await. Okay, so thank you so much, and goodbye.